Hello and thanks for joining us for our late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story tonight, the UN Security Council has spoken with one voice condemning North Korea's fifth nuclear test. The members will discuss imposing new sanctions on the regime given the grave threat the North poses to the international community. Kwon So-ah reports.
The UN Security Council announced it would immediately begin working on appropriate measures in the form of a new sanctions resolution.
The members of the Security Council held urgent consultations to address the serious situation arising from the nuclear test conducted by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea on 9 September 2016.
The emergency meeting was requested by South Korea, the US, and Japan, all three of whom were on the same page in denouncing Pyongyang's ongoing provocations.
For whatever reason, if the DPRK does not stop this insane continuation, spree of provocations, we, the countries in the region, remains under direct threat.
North Korea is seeking to perfect its nuclear weapons and their delivery vehicles so they can hold the region and the world hostage under threat of nuclear strike.
It is certainly deplorable, unacceptable, that this is the second time they have conducted a nuclear test this year.
Resolution 2270, imposed after the North's fourth nuclear test in January and dubbed the Terminating Resolution, was supposed to put an end to North Korea's violations. The resolution included mandatory cargo inspections and so-called sectoral bans restricting trade in coal, iron, and titanium. It also put sanctions on the banking and financial sector and blacklisted individuals and entities.
Even though the current sanctions regime against DPRK is pretty strong, I think there is still room for strengthening it further. And if the existing sanctions don't work, I think we should upgrade it. There is no other option.
It remains to be seen, though, whether Russia and North Korea's closest ally, China, will cooperate in formulating even harsher sanctions. They showed some resistance in putting together Resolution 2270.
I can't speak for the others, but if you talk about the feel for things, when many members talked about working for further measures, and I don't think there was any statement which opposed that idea.
South Korea's ambassador to the UN says he hopes it won't take too long to settle on a new sanctions resolution. The last one took almost 2 months to be adopted. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
South Korea's foreign minister has called for stronger sanctions and greater international pressure on North Korea in light of Friday's nuclear test. Speaking with officials at the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Seoul on Saturday, Yoon Byung-se said the test shows Kim Jong-un has no intention of changing his ways voluntarily, and that, together with the international community, an atmosphere of pain and pressure has to be created, so Pyongyang has no choice but to change. Minister Yoon said he will reiterate this message when he travels to New York next week to speak at the UN General Assembly. While in New York, he's also scheduled to hold a trilateral meeting with the top diplomats from the US and Japan. In other news, Samsung Electronics has told its customers in Korea to power down and stop using their Galaxy Note 7 smartphones. This comes after a US consumer safety watchdog advised the same thing on Friday due to a fault in the battery that has led to several devices bursting into flames. Kwon Jang-oh has the details.
Just a week after Samsung Electronics confirmed a global recall of its latest smartphone, the Galaxy Note 7, the company has now gone a step further and told its customers in Korea to stop using the phone altogether. Owners of the phone have been told to turn off their device, to not charge it, and to take it to a service centre where they can receive a temporary phone until replacements become available from September 19th. On Friday, Samsung, along with the US Consumer Product Safety Commission, gave similar warnings to its customers in the United States. But it's not yet clear when replacement phones will be available in the American market. Samsung said it's still working with the US watchdog to determine whether an exchange program is enough or whether a more extensive recall is needed. Reports of several Note 7s catching fire while charging emerged shortly after the launch in August. After an investigation, Samsung confirmed it was a fault in a small percentage of its battery cells and issued an unprecedented recall of the 2.5 million devices that had already been shipped. But no warnings were given to stop using the phones until Thursday, when US air regulators, the FAA, told its passengers to keep the Note 7 turned off on flights and to not stow them in checked-in luggage. European, Canadian, Japanese and Indian flight authorities quickly followed suit. Those who own a Note 7 should go to their nearest Samsung service center or retailer to ask about replacement or refund options, except those in China, as devices sold there are said to be unaffected. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
Korea's Hanjin Shipping has reportedly been given provisional court protection in the United States to unload cargo at some points without worrying about its ships being seized. Industry sources say the ailing shipper, which is currently under court receivership in Korea, was granted protection on Friday by a bankruptcy judge in New Jersey. Hanjin Shipping had been seeking protection there as 4 of its vessels have been sitting off the western coast of the US amid concerns they will be seized by creditors. Hanjin Shipping's biggest shareholder, Korean Airlines, has approved a proposed $54.2 million payment to its affiliate on the condition the loan is exchanged for collateral. Earlier this week, Hanjin Group pledged over $96 million to its struggling shipping arm. The United States and Russia have agreed to a plan aimed at ending the violence in Syria and beginning a political transition. The US Secretary of State John Kerry said the plan included a 7-day nationwide ceasefire from sunset on Monday. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov described the agreement as significant and practical and said Moscow had already told President Assad of Syria to abide by it. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
The United States and Russia together are calling on all sides to recommit to a nationwide cessation of hostilities and to honor its previous terms. This will be effective at sundown on September 12th.
We and the United States take the obligation to do all our best to engage and make the stakeholders comply with the arrangements in the documents. As I said, the Syrian government has been informed by us of these arrangements and is ready to fulfill them.
The United Nations welcomed the agreement and said it would exert all efforts to deliver humanitarian aid to the hardest hit areas once the ceasefire starts. Now back here in Korea, an acclaimed performer has arranged a rather unconventional dance recital. 6 visually impaired people have practiced contemporary dance moves to tell their life story on stage at Seoul's Olympic Park. Ian Shin tells us more.
Gently swaying from side to side, they glide across the stage. At first glance, no one would guess these graceful, spirited dancers are visually impaired. But 6 of them are. They rely solely on the melody, rhythm, and their training.
We all practiced 5 hours every day for the past month. I loved music and dancing since I was a little kid, but without help, I can't practice by myself, so performing in front of a crowd was only a dream before. Now I feel like I'm finally given a chance.
It's their time to shine. In a 3-day recital arranged by acclaimed contemporary dancer An Eun-mi, these prodigies, alongside some of An's finest dancers, are performing some top-level contemporary dance.
In the absence of vision, this white cane represents independence. And as the dancers tell their life stories through poetry in motion, this white cane is also the very essence of the performance.
Through this performance, I want people to get to know the world these folks with visual difficulties live in.
Through their emotional performance, one gets to learn the daily struggles that visually impaired people go through, as well as their personal stories on how they lost their sight. But at the same time, it's hard not to be blown away by just how effortless they carry out interpretive dance moves on stage.
I was concerned whether they could handle such complicated moves at first, but I was pleasantly surprised to see how rhythmic they are. They've done such a wonderful job.
And by touching each audience member's heart, they've successfully challenged preconceived notions of what visually impaired people are capable of. Yunxin, Arirang News.
Now finally leaving you with a brief look at the weekend weather. It's an overcast night for much of the country. We will see the low dip to 18 degrees Celsius in Seoul. Sunday will be rather warm with plenty of sunshine in the central region, where you can expect similar conditions all through next week as well. With that, let's take a look at the weather in Korea and around the world. Well, those are the stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out the website arirang.com/news. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.